Marfoogle TV going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Welcome, and I'm glad everybody still made it in tonight. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, including gold over 4,000, war supposedly in 17 days, or as little as 17 days. We're going to talk about this top-secret U.S. jet spotted circling Russia amid mounting World War III fears. The U.S. Air Force designed a jet to collect intelligence on enemy radar systems was spotted making circles over Russia following rising tensions with Moscow. Flight tracking data showed the RC-135U, or combat scent, taking off from England early Tuesday, flying over the Baltic states and looping around Kaliningrad. This is going to play a huge part in it later, at Kaliningrad in general, the Russian enclave between Poland and Lithuania. Just to remind you, again, where Kaliningrad is, where many of you guaranteed already know this, but I just want to show you just so you know. Of course, we have Russia over here, and then we have this little blue dot right here. This is Kaliningrad. We're going to be talking about it today because it is becoming very, very important. It is separate from the mainland of Russia, or the motherland, but it is considered that is Russia. So again, they were seen circling this area and supposedly to collect intelligence. This is not really much different than what you hear that Russia is doing, which they supposedly have drones in Copenhagen, in Denmark, of course in Estonia, in Romania, in Poland, doing the same things, right? Or at least that's what they're stating. There is a meeting here in 17 days. We're going to talk about that as well. We've gotten tons of emails. A lot of people are concerned about this because well, we're talking big time war. Again, we'll talk about this and much, much more on today's show. Hopefully you guys can make it right through. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, before we move on, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
All right, we hear Puppy back there, too. How's he doing?
He's doing all right.
So
He's going back to sleep.
No storm tonight. All right, let's talk about Russia's Medvedev says drone disruption is a useful reminder to Europeans of the danger of war.
It almost sounds like an admission, doesn't it? So former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said on Monday that it remained a mystery who was behind the wave of drone disruptions in various European countries, but that the incident served as a useful reminder to the Europeans of the dangers of war. He said, people who sympathize with our country in Europe will not waste their resources by coming out of hiding. Our agents and moles are waiting for a separate order, meaning they haven't ordered them yet. He said. And
that part's huge.
It is. It means they have them waiting. Their agents and moles are waiting for a separate order.
So these are like sleeper cells. So people who sympathize with their country in Europe will not waste their resources by coming out of hiding. And by wasting the resources, once they come out, once they do their job, they're going to be caught by intelligence, right? Or most likely they're going to be spotted, or they're going to be blowing their cover. They're stating that they are not doing that. Again, our agents and moles are waiting for a separate order. Now, if there's any truth to this, that is extremely creepy. And there is, it's true. Every country has agents and moles or sleeper cells in other countries that are waiting to do something. And it could be simple, like, go light a house on fire or something like that, a political hit, or it could be something like steal somebody's mail. But they are all over the place in the United States from almost every one of our adversaries and some of our allies. And then in other countries, we have American agents in almost every country in the world. So this is not something that, is a theory. There are agents in the country. You could be riding next to them on the bus one day and not even know it. You could be at a stoplight right next to them. Heck, they could be your coworker or even your boyfriend or girlfriend. Again, this is what they do. They will spend years here, and they will hide until they're needed. That's a sleeper cell, right? These do exist. It is something that governments have done since as long as I've been alive, and it's something they will continue to do. So they're saying they're waiting on a separate order. It is very, very creepy, and it's something that many of us have been watching for years. We know something is coming. Many of us just know that the United States is not invincible, and it's certainly not invincible against cyber attacks and grid attacks right now. So these are the two things that we really think that people should really pay attention to. And then we have Russia blocks mobile internet for foreign SIM cards, citing drone threats. So Dex, do you want to explain why they are blocking these SIM cards and why this is really important?
They've gone so far as to shut down mobile service completely sometimes. But right now they're temporarily blocking mobile internet on foreign SIM cards to tighten control. I think it's probably their way of not disrupting as much of the mobile communications for their local citizens, but hopefully preventing some of the operations that are happening with these drone devices that are using mobile devices for their communication and GPS tracking. So the theory is if they can block a foreign SIM card, then they can, for the most part, rule out that it's going to be a foreign related device as opposed to a Russian issued SIM card, which, by the way, if it is a Russian issued SIM card, they would have better trackability, presumably, in their country as to who bought it, where it came from, et cetera, et cetera. So this is, it's clear in the past when they shut down all cell services that they were doing it just as a reaction to try to stop the drones. And I think now they're trying to come up with a way to not disrupt the public's use in their country of mobile communications.
And this is for a certain time frame. The new rule imposes a mandatory 24-hour mobile internet blackout for anyone entering Russia with a foreign SIM card. So what kind of information did they have? Was there an operation, or is there an operation that's going on right now from the 7th to the 8th? It is the anniversary of course, the whole Israel thing. But what else has them doing this for 24 hours? Again, it said, including mobile internet and SMS, will be unavailable for the next 24 hours after connecting to a Russian network. That's, it said that they've, however, in August, officials proposed a so-called cooling off period for SIM cards from foreign countries, which could temporarily disable mobile data upon entering the country. They argued that the rule was necessary to prevent drones from being controlled via mobile networks, suggesting that the blackout's duration would be based on the average flight time of drones crossing the border. So if that has, again, 24 hours seems a bit long for, passing over from, of course, Europe to Russia. So what is this? This is obviously a different thing than that cooling off period. All right, and then before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. These are the two things that we think are absolutely our vulnerabilities here in the United States and in Europe. Again, our grid and, of course, our cyber systems. You can actually protect your power, your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators, gas, and solar, in the case of the Energy and the Bug Out XP, with an EMP shield. This can even be wired into your home. They have versions for your Starlink, for your modems, pretty much everything you want to protect. You want to get an EMP shield on. And with our code, marfuglenews.com/EMP, code MARF, you will get $50 off per device, and that stacks on top of any sale that they are running. Again, this is a device that can easily be wired into your car in 10 minutes. You don't need a handyman or a mechanic or any knowledge of a car to be able to do this. Red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green to ground, basically side of your chassis, and then boom, bolted in. Again, done. marfuglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. And then again, make sure to also check out the home version, which can be wired in relatively quick. Most are plug and play, like the modem version. Plug one into one end and then one into the other, and you're done. Same with the generator versions for EMP, Energy, and of course, Bug Out XP. All right, and let's see here. Let's go over. So Trump sort of made a decision on what?
Well, he's kind of it's kind of wishy-washy, but in the way he's describing it, it sounds like he's made a decision on sending the Tomahawk missiles. So he told reporters in the Oval Office that he sort of made a decision concerning the missiles, which are very controversial because they're long range. These are the Tomahawks, and the idea of giving them to the Ukraine or selling them to the Ukraine. But then he added a caveat. He goes, "We are sending them. I guess I'll have to ask that question." As to the question he posed, he said that they would want to know, like, where are they going to use them and how are they going to use them. So I sort of made my decision, he said. But where are they sending them? I guess I'll have to ask that question. I would ask some questions. I'm not looking to see an escalation. In other words, he's making it sound like he doesn't necessarily want them to use them for long range. But it sounds like he's sending them. So, of course, Russia has stated, clearly that it would be a major issue. And Zelensky has said he doesn't even need to use them. He just needs to have them. If he has them, then that'll bring Russia to the negotiating table. That's how powerful he believes these missiles are. Russia says if they're used, then it's going to be a direct effect of America and, put us directly in the crosshairs. So that will be a big question as to, okay, do they actually show up and do they get used, and where do they target? How deep do they go? Who provides the targeting information, and who fires them and targets them through the process?
And as you can see, this is a map of the range. You've got missiles that can go pretty much, all the way to the other side of Russia. So this is something that Russia did not want to see, and it is why all of the tensions and all of the rhetoric is ramped up to an incredible number of statements per day now. All right, by the way, thank you, Stealth Mode. Thank you, Golden Doodle Love, Paul Panda, Berlinda Mustafa. Thank you for being here. Appreciate all of the mods in the chat. Thank you so much to all the members, too. Briar Patch, JPass, Kimbria, Seeking Truth, Callie, thank you. Chance, thank you for modding today. Ilea, thank you for modding. It says, ooh la la, I reinstalled my EMP shield into my new truck. That's awesome, Ilea, and I hope you're doing well. Crazy, Ilea, with the gold prices and everything that's happening. So ever since, Ilea sent me the gold price yesterday, and I was blown away by how much it had gone up. Just to show you real quick, it is going up. This was at 428 right before the first show about half an hour ago. So it has actually gone up another $3 for any change in gold price. Look at this. It is going up as we speak. Oh, it just went up. It's not updated yet. Oh, you guys will see it. It went from 132 to 435. 436. Are you guys kidding me? Do you guys not understand what is happening right now? Something is about to go down. We could just do a show and just have this on for an hour. This is honestly a huge red flag. Dex, it just went up from 432 to 435 as we were watching. That's just incredible. What do you think about the gold going up that fast?
It's a clear sign that everybody is worried about the economy, the economics of the dollar, the chances of war. All those are reasons why people move to gold. It is considered a stable sort of position. So, that precious metal, along with all the others. I mean, even silver's up. Everything's up in the precious metal category. So, yeah, it is obviously a sign that we in the private community look at and monitor, and we see that skyrocketing, which we've been watching. It's not the first time we've talked about it. We talked about it earlier in the spring when it was clear that China was hoarding and buying
Yeah.
just tons and tons of gold, in a lot of it off market, so that it wasn't easily tracked. But yeah, and that was in the 3,500 range, I think, back then. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and a lot of us had predicted back then that we would easily see 4,000, and here we are. We're already over 4,000 now.
So we predicted at 1,200, and back in the day, we by the way, there's some of you that sent us thank yous when it hit 33 and 3,400 because you invested your Roth IRAs in it, and this was back when it was 16. It was like $1,518 or something. So that was like what was that? That was only a couple months ago that it was at 3,300. It's skyrocketed. So, the first time, because we did tell you guys to get it, we worked with Noble Gold for probably a month or maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. But we told you guys because this is what we honestly believed in. We believed that this was going to be a thing. And it's, those people that did end up switching over, it's pretty crazy because now it is at $4,000. I'm sure that many of you hope it goes back down because many of you do want to get gold, but 4,000 an ounce is insane. I remember my stepdad buying it at 300 an ounce when I was young, when I was a kid. And I thought that was so exorbitant and so expensive. Now it's at $4,000. And then Bitcoin is at over $125,000 for one Bitcoin. And yes, I'm sure you probably know my story. I could have bought it at $13 a coin. I, of course, kick myself in the butt every time I think of over $100,000 for one frickin' coin. But the scary part is that this is a huge red flag. This is giant. It is flying, as Ilea said earlier today. It is flying. So yeah.
Silver's at 48.
$48. Is that correct?
But silver, it says silver futures. Yeah, 48.19 right now on at least the Google.
When we said
Google
it was
chart.
like $6 or
Spot is.
$7 per ounce, it was like 8 or maybe 8 or 9 at most. I remember it being like 6 or 7. That is incredible. And then get this. This seems like a setup here. Check this out. British parts are found in Russian drones, Zelensky says, and they're saying in this sense, well, we really got to really clamp down on these tariffs because British parts are getting into these Russian drones. Or just to throw this out there, are they throwing this out there because when asked for proof on the Russian drones found in their country in the near future, they're going to say, look, there's British parts in them. And they're going to say, are these British drones with Russian parts on them, or are these Russian drones with British parts in them? Right? Dex, that's the first thing I thought of. When I saw this, I was thinking when there's a huge drone that hits in Poland or somewhere and it does something, they'll investigate. They'll go, hey, there's British parts in this. And they'll say, oh, yeah, the excuse for that is that they've been getting British parts in their Russian drones. I hope that's not the case. But again, that's what I thought of when I saw this. Dex, what did you think about when you saw this?
Well, it just makes I'm sure that a lot of these drones are very crude, apparatuses, and I don't know that they require heavy duty microcomputers for what they're trying to do. So it's probably easy for them to get products that they can either repurpose, whether they're buying them, in raw form or even buying them in other product form and stripping them down to get the components out that they need to build the drones. However that may happen. Do I think they're like shipping truckloads of this stuff from Britain into Russia? I'm not sure. I think it's more likely that there's ways that these products are getting into Russia in an indirect way so that they can build the drones. It is a problem in some way, shape, or form, but at the same time, it's not like these are tightly controlled NVIDIA chips or something like that, right? These are not that high end of equipment. So um, that's just my initial thought, that it doesn't seem unlikely that those products can be there, but at the same time, it does hurt when he turns around and he's looking at all the components of a handful of destroyed drones that have hit his city, and he's like, yeah, look, there's stuff from Germany, from Japan, from Britain, from other countries, that have been identified, including the U.S., have products in these different Russian weapons.
Any person or firm that does not comply with the sanctions could face large financial penalties or criminal prosecution. Over $26.9 billion of UK trade with Russia is now under sanctions, according to the DBT. Writing on X, Zelensky said microcomputers for drone flight control are produced in the United Kingdom. He added that it was crucial to shut down every scheme that circumvents sanctions, and said that countries which support Ukraine already possess the detailed data on each company and each product still being used by Russia. Components originating in China, Taiwan, and the Netherlands have also been identified in Russian weapons. He continued. So I don't know. I'm just waiting for the day that in the next couple weeks here, if some big event happens and they say, oh, well, they investigated, there's actually British parts, but they knew this. Zelensky was just talking about how they're skirting sanctions. But just a side observation. And then Venezuela on edge over the Trump regime, regime change whispers. So it seems like most of the stuff that's coming out of Venezuela is kind of hearsay. I mean, it's not kind of, it is, right? It says allies of President Nicolas Maduro vow to resist any military intervention, but experts suspect Venezuela leaders were rattled by his decision to bomb Iran. The mayor of Caracas had come to one of her city's busiest tube stations wearing a camouflage t-shirt. Oh, it's like Zelensky's best friend, declaring herself a card-carrying combatant and a message to match. They think that they're the owners of the world. Carmen Melendez complained of the president's administration and its pressure campaign against Venezuela's government. But if they dare to invade, we'll be waiting for them here. Melendez said that she hoped a U.S. invasion was not on the horizon, even though they had shown themselves to be a bunch of crazies who are capable of anything. But if it does happen, we are ready. She added that we will use all of the weapons we have to defend the homeland. Mayor Melendez was at the Reconada station to supervise an early morning drill, a practice response to fictitious cyber attack on the Caracas Underground that had brought its trains to a halt. Now, I think it's interesting this was at a fictitious cyber attack on Caracas, because that I could see. I could see them knocking down the entire grid to Venezuela before some sort of regime change operation. And that's exactly what they're practicing for. So that is something to look out for. You see, we always look at the U.S.'s drills, and those are often the most likely scenarios. They don't practice on the most unlikely scenarios. You know, they don't spend all 7 days out of 7 days in a week practicing for alien invasion. They might actually drill for it, but they're not going to be spending 7 days a week doing it. They're going to be drilling for cyber attacks and grid down and invasion, border invasion, and stuff like that. Or, again, urban warfare. But they're not going to be doing that. They are obviously thinking that they are going to have some sort of cyber attack and that they are going to use that as a cover to go in and do a regime change. That's what I think. What do you guys think in the comments down below? Again, Maduro is part of a nationwide civil protection and preparation of the people exercise. Came as Donald Trump turned up the heat on Venezuela's leader to levels rarely seen before. Remember, boats even leave there. They're tracking them, and if they believe they are headed to the United States, they are blown to smithereens. So, yeah, and a lot of folks believe that they are going to invade Venezuela. That is still up in the air, but hopefully this all works how everybody thinks it's going to, because the mainstream narrative is that this is all separate and this is just because of the narco terror, and it's totally not, because they're directly working with Russia, North Korea, Iran, and China on the next World War II or World War III. And then, Dex, the talks between the president and Venezuela, what happened to him?
Okay, so that's been shut down. So President Trump has stopped diplomatic discussions with Venezuela in his bid to end the drug trafficking and cartel operating in the U.S. The U.S. officials have claimed that Trump has closed the door on negotiations, potentially setting in motion increased military action, or basically green lighting the military action completely, against the drug traffickers, against the cartel ships, and against Nicolas Maduro's government. So this report said that Richard Grenell was a special presidential envoy who was leading the talks with Maduro, was informed that all diplomatic contact must stop. So basically shutting down negotiations, and which then only leaves, operations now. So during a meeting with top military leaders, Trump had reportedly called Mr. Grenell directly and delivered the new order. The president reportedly felt impatient with what the administration sees as Venezuela intransigence. So reports said that in September, Maduro wrote a letter to Trump and denied Venezuela trafficked any drugs. And he offered further negotiations with the U.S. through Grenell, but sounds like that's been cut off completely now.
Yeah, this is this is obviously heading towards conflict. This is going towards a war. People think that this is all going to settle down, that we're going to flex our muscles and everybody's going to back down. This isn't even that kind of thing. This is I believe this is a regime change, that they are slowly building up the narrative and the story behind it, and then they're going to go in there and they're going to take him out. Or something's going to happen. He'll accidentally drink some polonium-210 or something. Or a drone will try to get him again like they did before. This isn't the first time this guy's been, had an attempt on his life. Early in my channel, I covered one of his first attempts on his life with the drone. And his security guard, I believe, got taken out. Before we move on, make sure to go check out Energy. This is one of the best solar generators, if not the best portable solar generator on the market. It is modular, just like a sandwich. You can literally plug in different modular pieces into it and change its overall function. But just as it comes, you can actually connect multiple batteries or mods to the bottom, clamp them in, and take them to go. You can go with 1 or 45 batteries, again, clamped onto it. It is an awesome, awesome unit. This is the same one that won the SBR Phase 2 contract with the U.S. Army. Under those actual very specific specifications, they had to have a reinforced steel frame, so these things are absolutely tough as nails. They also had to be front-loaded in the U.S., meaning that the software, everything was supervised and done by the company in the United States. There's no backdoors from China or any other adversary inside. This is very, very important if you get a generator, because obviously you've probably heard by now that China has almost a monopoly on all of the solar generator parts and batteries and minerals and things like this. So again, make sure to go check this out, marfuglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Remember, after this batch to the public is gone, it is gone. When you go to buy now, if there is no buy now button, that means they are gone until further notice. We waited about 1.5 years for them to come back to the public because they have that contract. So when they're building for the Army, that is their priority. And when we can get them, we do. All right. And let's see here. Let's go over North Korea's crypto hackers have stolen over $2 billion just this year.
Yeah, it's a huge number. So this analysis has revealed that they've already reached 2 billion just in 2025, and we still have 3 months to go. It brings the cumulative number of assets stolen, crypto assets stolen by the regime, to almost 6 billion, or actually more than 6 billion. And the actual number may even be higher, because it's really hard to actually attribute how much they have actually stolen. It's just what they've actually found, not what they've what else could have happened. If you look at this chart, you can see what 2025 looks like versus other years. And also, to put that in perspective, that's like over 6% of their entire GDP is represented right there just in crypto stolen assets. So 6% of their GDP, crypto stolen assets. So where they're going after, who they're going after, a lot of humans are considered now the weak links, have gone after high net worth individuals, mostly people that have obviously attained a ton of wealth from crypto, and all of a sudden their crypto investments have spiked. They've gone after them. They've also gone after a lot of companies that have hold large numbers of crypto assets. We've talked about the infiltrations and other things that they've done through their hacking, but specifically, either getting paid in crypto assets or just directly stealing crypto assets has been a big part of their hacking revenue chain that is feeding the North Korean government.
I certainly missed the boat on all the crypto stuff. It's crazy to me. Dex? What is Bitcoin currently at? I know that it hit like over 125,000. It might have gone back down. Like, what is?
It's currently at 121,584.
That is so insane to me. When it was at 44,000, we did that video on it, and it was like, oh, they suspect it might actually hit 60,000 by 2030 or something. It was like some stupidly low compared to where it's at estimate. And now $121,000 for one Bitcoin. It took me a long time to actually understand how Bitcoin actually works. It wasn't until I got a very, very good and simple explanation of like how it even works. And actually, to understand that, I had to understand the basics of computing. Like because it just really boggled my mind how, when this guy told me at $13, like, hey, you don't own it, you can't hold it, nobody knows who made it. I was thinking, you're an idiot. You're going to give your hard-earned money to a computer site and have an invisible coin. But yeah, obviously, many of us were in that same boat, and it's a boat that sank. And then we have North Korea's new destroyer reemerges with major modifications. This is the same one, supposedly, that had this huge ordeal, right? It says only months after its commissioning in April 25th, they say that they have now brought out their most advanced surface warship. Maybe they put some of that billions of dollars worth of crypto into it. Showcased its newest and most advanced warship, the 142-meter. So that is roughly, 420 feet missile destroyer, Ko-yeon, during an opening ceremony of the annual Defense Development 2025. It said that they brought this out and had a huge celebration for it. The display precedes the destroyer's planned redeployment to the East Coast next year. So, was this? I'm trying to think. I thought this was the one that actually fell over. Was it not? Are we seeing some of the first pictures of it up close? Because remember we saw the satellite photos. Wasn't this the one when they dropped it in? It fell over or something? Or was that a different kind of ship? I'm trying to think. I don't know if this is the same one, so I might have misspoke. Yeah, several modifications.
I'm looking real quick. It was the second Klo-Hyan class guided missile destroyer named Kang Kong.
So that's not the same one.
Over on its side. It's the same class. This is the same class ship.
Looks just like it.
I don't know what the name of the ship is, but this is the first time we're seeing some pretty advanced interior pictures. And when you look at some of the interior pictures, like the command and control bridge, or the command information center, the bridge, the crew accommodations, and others, it's certainly showing a sign of pretty advanced, If
it's not AI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's what they're putting out. It's what's coming from KCNA. So they want to show their advancements.
Well, they definitely have the Chinese hookup on TV screens. But, I want to know, what is this tiny little screen? They've got all these screens, and then they just have like a lone screen. Is that where they watch like Little House on the Prairie or Dennis Rodman games? I don't know. You guys tell me. By the way, thank you, Grace, for you too. Thank you for being a member for 23 months. Flash way back to Marf in his car back in the day. Hey, thank you for being here that long, Grace, for you too. Again, there's a lot of you that have actually been here. You know what's really crazy is now, I just heard about this too. I felt like, man, are we losing people? Apparently all the people that have the ad blockers, it is like not showing their views, which makes sense. If they're not viewing the ads, then apparently YouTube doesn't make money off them, so they wouldn't show you those views. But what was that? Davey504 that did a video on it and said that they're just not counting it. And I think that's pretty messed up, because you should at least show the real views, and then who cares? The public doesn't care about what the back end of that is. If there's 30,000, 40,000 people watching the show. That should be external, not internal on the creator's side. I think that's pretty lame. It makes everybody's videos look like they're less watched than they actually are. I think that that's really, really lame. Either way, and then we have Russia hosts the Taliban delegation and warns against foreign military presence in Afghanistan. Dex, do you want to go over that?
Well, I'm sure Russia is absolutely, just like China, not interested in the U.S. getting its foothold back into Afghanistan after Trump has said, hey, we're going to retake the Bagram Air Base. So Russia hosted a delegation of Afghanistan ruling Taliban government on Tuesday and issued a strong warning against foreign military presence in the country. Speaking at the start of the international meeting in Afghanistan and Moscow, Russian Foreign Ministry Sergei Lavrov praised the Taliban government for the efforts to combat the Islamic State and other groups, as well as eradicate illegal drugs there. Lavrov emphasized that the deployment of military infrastructure of any third countries on its territory of Afghanistan, as well as the territories of the neighboring states, is categorically unacceptable under any pretext. So that is a direct, point that he's making to them as it relates to any negotiations that they may be doing with the United States about retaking the Bagram Air Base.
Yeah, so it's obvious that they are working together with the same parties. We talked about how, of course, China. They even talked about, experts said that China was going to have problems with this, like Dex said, and now you have them hosting these guys.
Yeah, I bet this is China asking Russia to do thy bidding first. Can you please go bend the arm? That way we don't have to look like we're doing it. And because we're in the middle of negotiating with the U.S., so you go convince them not to do it, since we have our no limits partnership, and you have the relationship with the Taliban. So I wholeheartedly believe that while Russia does have some interest here, it's probably on behalf of China that they're really speaking.
Which is obviously anybody from the U.S. that associates Taliban with the former attacks, even most people that don't know half the truth about all of that stuff, would be probably incensed by this. And then we have Russia mocks Trump's America and says civil war is coming. We're going to talk about that here in 1 second. I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go get a kit. It has all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics in it over at Jace. It's a very quick appointment with a board-certified doctor on your cell phone or your tablet. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. That way, if the power goes out or a disaster happens, a storm, a hurricane, an earthquake, if something, somebody injures themselves or gets infection, you have antibiotics for that. marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF to not only get a discount, but to help our independent channel at the same time. All right. And then Russia mocks Donald Trump's America. Civil war is coming in the U.S. Now, Dex, we just covered this over on Marfoogle News, but it is pretty creepy to hear how they're talking about it, because this is how most of us talk about the United States and how we are actually seeing how the division is just, it's never going to change. How are we ever going to get along with the opposite view? Like, people will never agree on migration, and I think 20 years ago they probably would have. Like, how far has the culture changed to where you've got two halves that are never going to agree on this, and they believe it is as fundamental as basic civil rights. They're, coming into the country, just walking in and getting a passport, that is something that half of the country fundamentally believes, where the other half, including myself, believes you should be going through the appropriate venues and coming in that way. I know that many people that went through that came from other countries believe that as well, because they had to.
That's just one issue. That's just the current issue that they're inflaming. There's probably 100, maybe even 10 that are super powerful issues that are dividing our country right now, that have all grown out of over time, and the generational changes that have happened in our society, and some would call it a demoralization of our society, depending on which side you're on or which way you believe. that it has caused this massive divide. And I can always go back to, even rewind to the Cold War eras when we had, the Soviet Union, which I say is still relevant as it relates to, you look at the person who runs Russia, he's an ex-KGB, he came from that era, right? That they had a mission, even if they couldn't take us out with nukes or take us out with the military, to take us out generationally over a 20 to 50-year period, where if they could infiltrate and change and sow and create the demoralization of America, starting with education, starting with other factors in the media, and et cetera, that they could create a point where we would be weak, and we would be weak because we were divided. And united we stood, and divided we would fall. And here we are, pretty much living out that prediction, or at least maybe even that intention, that, as many would suspect, had actually come to fruition, and maybe had actually been supplanted into our society over the last 50 years.
People are getting paid
intentionally, and now here we are.
You have people that are getting paid, that are literally, being traitors to the United States to help other countries turn our country into an absolute crap pot. When you think about it, the fact that half of our government had all of these people were clearly just getting absolutely filthy rich when their salaries were way, way under what, they were supposed to be making. Not only insider trading and all of these different deals that were just making them stupid, filthy rich. When you think of an American politician, okay, take this. If you think of even a vice president of another country, many of these countries, they're not rich. Okay, they that's like getting one of the best jobs in that country, but it's not, oh, you're instantly a celebrity and you're rich. Here in the United States, most of the politicians, when you think of a politician, they live in a multi-million dollar home. They have a yacht. They have a huge waterfront property. They drive, incredible $150,000 cars. That's what you think of when you think of a politician here. That's how, and not how it should be, right? Big money should be out of politics, because that's the whole point. But that's not the case. And when you look at all of these politicians that were like, yeah, not only should we open our borders, but we should bring people in by the plane load. That's crazy to me. That they were bringing in 200,000 via this one, and saying, hey, come on down, and letting these people through, purposely understaffing, having open gaps for no reason, stopping a wall being built, all these things. And people call this a fundamental civil rights thing, when every color shade of person is here in the United States, and many of them came in the legit legal way. The people that don't, if you just have millions and millions and millions of people come into a country, yes, it gets more diverse, but it also collapses the system. The system is set up in a certain way. As much people hate taxes and hate the system, well, there has to be some sort of system. Otherwise, you just have a free-for-all. So when you have this many people come into a system that is already broken, it is going to collapse it. And that is exactly what is happening right now. I mean, it's crazy that I can't go to the doctor without getting a $10,000 bill. I don't have insurance. And these folks come in and they get insurance right off the bat. They get food stamps and help with all of these different things when I can't apply for it. When you make a certain amount, you literally you don't have enough to live, but you have more than what you can ask for help in the United States. So you can't ask for help, and you can't afford your basic bills. That's crazy to me. That's just insane. So yeah, many people are in the same boat, where if you just literally make above poverty, you are screwed. You can't afford anything and everything. And then especially with inflation, how it is, it's just absolutely disgusting. The way that this is set up, it's really offensive to most Americans, because we are all super struggling. And then you see people staying at a 5-star hotel that we can't save up over a year and go to for a vacation, and they're just getting that for free based on the backs of tax dollars that are given to them. That, to me, it hurts. And that's why I'm bringing this full circle. These people were paid to do this. They don't care, because if they get $5 million over a couple years implanted in into their bank account, or through some sort of Swiss bank account, or through crypto or whatever, and they have a mansion, a house in a neighborhood that's never going to have any kind of incursion of any of these people are going to go straight to different neighborhoods. These people are not going to cross over, get the free the necessities, all of these things, and then go right into a gated neighborhood of $4 or $5 million houses. That's not going to happen. Maybe in 10, 15 years, but by that point they've played the game and they've won, right? So this does not affect the people that are there, and they are getting some sort of future protection. I believe some of these politicians not only know a war is coming, they are helping it. And when war happens, they've got a seat at the table. I mean, this is straight up like Red Dawn. Only the Red Dawn is all shades of color at this point. It's Yellow Dawn, it's Red Dawn, it's Brown Dawn, it's everything. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Does that sound crazy? Let me know. And then Stephen McMahon, thank you for dropping an M for the mods. And it's like you knew it was coming. Make sure to drop an M for the mods in the chat. Again, you can go over and support them by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends. We have creators like Chance that actually has authored books over on Amazon. You can go support him. You, of course, have Rip Curl, who has a great channel. Trinity, who always is deep diving into all sorts of awesome stuff. She deserves to be way bigger than she is. She's already surpassed 10,000, so she's on her way. And then Wages World, great channel covering solar events. And Ilea is just absolutely awesome. So go check all of them out. Make sure to go stop at marfooglenews.com/friends. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate your service tonight. Appreciate all you do.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It is a shoutro.